I have somewhere else to go if you can't get him. Hold on. I'm going there.
Don't go too far.
I'm going there right now.
Oh.
Here he goes.
Andrew, thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, all right. So let's switch gears. I want to talk about this campaign, this anti-congressional campaign that I've heard from a handful of people. And y'all, as Christine says, y'all have heard it too. That we're being unfair when it comes to the congressional race. In particular, let's not even get into me.
Wait, can I just ask a question?
I'm not even going to get into me because I think I'm being unbelievably fair.
Despite the fact that all of the candidates have come in here and said that you're being fair.
Yeah, but let's not even talk about me in particular. I really want to focus in on the promos that are running for the upcoming debate. And not that we need to defend ourselves, but I think we just all need to take a little step back and take a breath of fresh air here and just realize that, well, let's play the promo. And you have a couple versions.
I do.
By the way. Which, by the way, for the record, I have no part in. I played tape. Have I said, hey, why don't you throw this clip in there or anything like that?
No.
Nothing.
This is something that I do.
The idea is to be show the contention between the three candidates here, which is really a little tease of what this debate is going to be. Here's an example.
Okay, these are, I just want to clarify here, we had all three on 1 week going back 2 or 3 weeks ago. These first two promos I'm going to play are clips of those interviews. Then there is a debate promo that I have here as well. Okay, so this is...
this is number one.
Oh, no, it's not going to let me play it off of this. Hang on, how can I do this? You're going to have to bear with me for a second. We'll start with the debate promo because I have that queued up.
All right, Andrew, I'm in the middle of something now. You're going to have to move it to 7:20, okay? Although I might not be. Everything might be falling to pieces.
This is the debate promo.
Here is the debate promo. Listen.
I know people are disgusted with the mess in Washington and Albany, but let's have hope.
And absolutely, I'm taking issue with it because it's utter hypocrisy.
He sounded almost disingenuous. He said, oh, Bill, this is an outrage.
Keeler in the Morning is hosting a Republican primary debate.
I felt like I owed it to the voters and my supporters in this race.
Join us Monday morning, June 13th.
And there's corruption in Albany that everyone else ought to give back their salaries, and yet you don't show up for work.
On WIBX 950.
Is that all you got?
And simulcast on WFXV, Fox 33.
All right, that's promo number one. Here, are you able to pull up the next one?
Just one more second. I'm sorry.
Again, when you listen to that, it's basically taking the a summary of those three interviews that we did with each of the candidates.
First News with Keeler.
Go ahead.
First News with Keeler in the Morning.
I'm on the ballot, and these were elderly sick people who signed under power of attorney. They shouldn't have been harassed by Claudia Tenney and her attorneys.
What I'm challenging is her actual record. So, for example, in the assembly, she's never passed anything.
Ask him why you're a top 10 donor to Andrew Cuomo and you have millions in state contracts.
Keeler in the Morning. Weekday mornings at 6 on WIBX 950. And simulcast on WFXV, Fox 33.
So through these interviews, I'm getting the emails that claim that I'm behind these promos and that I'm slamming Claudia Tenney, and that couldn't be further from the truth. A, I have nothing to do with the promos.
Correct.
B, it's meant to promote the upcoming debate. C, these are elements that were taken from the interviews, and
should I
you produced them.
Explain further?
Yeah,
where I was going with those.
You're the one that produced them. So.
We talked about this, I believe, last week as well, and I don't think this is a criticism. I think it's a fair observation. I had said it appears as though George Phillips is kind of targeting Claudia Tenney. Steve Wells is targeting Claudia. She's the front runner based on the polls, the one poll that we know of, by a long shot. He was upset that he says she had challenged some of his petitions. There was a clip of that. Steve Wells, his big attack on Claudia is that she misses votes in the assembly. Her big attack on him is that he's a donor to Cuomo and he's got state contracts.
Yeah.
All of that was covered in the promo. Those are really the most talked about portions of the interviews that we've done.
And I do have to say that, I have had, and Claudia Tenney and I have talked about this on the air, and I think one of the interviews we did in the last 2 weeks, we actually referenced it. Her and I have gone back and forth in some pretty heated exchanges. And I've made a conscious decision to make sure that the interviews that I give with her, the questions that I ask, that I just let them stand on it. I'm not going to fight with her. And I've made a specific conscious decision to not fight with her over certain things. And if a candidate wants to fight with her over something she says, then it should be the candidate that does it, or it should be somebody calling in. I'm basically letting this stand on its own. We're a month away from the election. I'll give you an opinion that I have in a second, but I think we've conducted very fair interviews, and we're anticipating a very fair debate. And the problem that comes in is if you support Claudia Tenney, I think you feel that it's unfair to Claudia Tenney. If you support another candidate, then you feel it's unfair to your candidate. It's a you're either with me or you're against me type thing. And for that, I'm not sure that, Jeff, you can win. But I mean,
Correct.
do you have to make the promos? Do you have to make the promos just say, hey, there's a debate coming up, we're not going to play any clips? I think the promos are enticing. It makes me want to listen on June 13th.
Here's one more, and again, this is not. These had run for the last couple of weeks. This is not a debate promo. It's a highlight of the fact that we had all three candidates on.
There's no hiding from the presidential race. But in reality, it's the local issues which affect us most. And that's where we come in.
We are running for Congress. It's the single most important job in the nation.
That's where I'm very wary. We're getting handed it to us time and time again by President Obama. Where's our plan to cut spending here?
If you have nothing to lose, if you're happy about your record, you should be proud of your achievements and come out and tell the voters about it.
Keeler in the Morning. Weekday mornings at 6 on WIBX 950.
That would be the non-attack. Neither candidate is attacking, but in the other ones, they're all attacking each other. Well, the two are attacking Assemblywoman Tenney, and then she's kind of defending herself, fighting back there. Okay, I want to tell you my opinion on this. As long as we want to talk a little, let's talk a little politics in this race. Does anyone here see a way that Assemblywoman Tenney doesn't win the primary? I don't, and that's why I love when people surmise what my agenda is and what my opinion is. I'll give you my opinion. I don't see any scenario where she loses on, is it June 28th is the Republican primary. I don't see any scenario where she loses.
I do think Phillips has a better chance than most people think because of his strength in Binghamton.
Here's where I have to disagree. And maybe he does have a better chance than Wells. I
he has
think
a better
he does
chance than Wells, but not
at this
Tenney.
point. The problem you have here, in my opinion, this is strictly my opinion, folks. You have three candidates in this race, and oh, by the way, I saw a commercial for Babnick. I don't know what that is. He running as an independent? We'll get to that coming up. But so in this Republican primary, there's Assemblywoman Tenney. And then there's everybody else. And we've heard about that. Anyone but Claudia, ABC, people who had bumper stickers, they'll vote for anybody but Claudia. And there is a group, let's not deny, there's a group out there that believes that way. And we've talked to people. So you have an anti-Tenney vote. And I just believe that George Phillips and Stephen Wells are splitting that vote. And as long as there are three people in this Republican primary, I think Claudia Tenney wins by a landslide. I don't know how George Phillips could win if Stephen Wells is still in the race. I think one of them, if they really wanted to beat Claudia Tenney, I would think one of the two, whoever has the best shot against Assemblywoman Tenney, has to get out of the race before the primary. Otherwise, she waltzes into the general election.
And even then, I don't know if that.
And I don't know that we haven't heard much from her, but I think she might be a little too far to the left in order to work in a moderate district. So, again, we don't know much about her. We haven't been able to interview her. We've requested, Andrew, and requested.
She will be on tomorrow.
Oh, okay. She's on tomorrow. I'm glad the request finally worked. So we'll learn a little bit tomorrow, but I don't, in terms of politics, I don't know how Assemblyman Tenney doesn't win in this Republican primary.
The odds are certainly in her favor. However, what we're not taking into consideration is the fact that in the Binghamton area, George Phillips, there are lawn signs all over the place now in Binghamton saying it has been 50 years since we've had a congressperson from Binghamton.
They're going to need an awful large turnout down there.
They are going to need a large
he's
turnout.
going to need an awful large turnout because up here, he's not as well known, and they're going to be running their commercials. We're going to see more of it. We'll have the debates. But there's a lot to squeeze into 30 days. She, to me, has, in terms of name recognition, has an enormous lead.
Hands
I
down.
don't know what the polling shows, but
Right.
an enormous lead. And she's going to whittle away at some of his base in the Binghamton area. If he beats her 2-1 in Binghamton, the population is larger up here. I think she still wins, especially if Stephen Wells pulls out any numbers, which would take away from George Phillips. There's only so many people that are saying, I'm voting against Claudia Tenney, period. And I think that vote's split.
Yeah, I agree. And what Christine said was kind of the point I was trying to convey. We're removed from that area where
Sure.
those lawn signs are everywhere. So I think maybe he's not really on the radar for some voters here, although we've talked to him several times, and I think that was the most that people have heard from him, the local voters. But if you're not seeing those signs and you're not familiar with him, he's really not on your radar. So
anyway, not in terms of defending ourselves, but explaining ourselves.
Right.
This is a fair approach. I would say fair and balanced. Call it what you like. It's a fair approach to this race. And these are promos that are promoting what I think is going to be a really big event on the radio. This debate between the three of them for the Republican nut. I think it's going to be very, very big. Last word.
In making these promos, I actually was conscious of the fact that in one it goes Phillips, Wells, Tenney, and then I reversed it on the other, where Tenney is first.
In fairness, the problem though is what that you have here. In complete fairness, is you have, as you said before, you have both Phillips and Wells. All they're doing is attacking Claudia Tenney, and she's defending herself and attacking them. So I guess it could look that the promo is against her, but you're really trying to just take a composite of what is really going on right now.
Right.
And you can't do it any other way without distorting it. And you're in a tough position, so congratulations on that.
By the way, that's all me. That's not Bill.
7:24. Christine will have news coming up in a second. Quick break. Bill Keel is the Trump alternate delegate that we've been trying to get with. He's on the phone right now. We'll speak with him next on WIBX.